All right. You guys ready?
Whenever you guys are ready.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rohan Shah,
Shiv Patel.
Joshua Song from Carter Hart.
and we are Spotted. So, the city of Chicago, fast-paced, windy, colorful, unique, buzzing with food, culture, and experiences. Who doesn't love the city? Music festivals, sports teams, and the history of the great city draw millions of people every single year. What's the one thing people hate? Parking. I remember my parents and I traveling down for Bears games, museums, and just visits for fun, but spending hours looking for parking, making our experience frustrating and overall negative. So who here pays for parking? And who here enjoys looking for a spot? That's what I thought. So, this shows that the current parking industry is flawed and is intrinsically linked with stress and frustration. In fact, urban motorists spend 90.5 hours looking for parking, or almost 4 days, as well as $375 in resources annually. Not only is this a waste of money and time for the motorist, it also has a drastic impact on the environment. So our solution is Spot. We are an app-based parking rental service / marketplace, best described as the Airbnb of parking. Our app will create a network of spot owners as well as spot seekers to make booking, renting, and selling parking spots an easier and hassle-free experience. So, first to begin, all the images that are in the packet, these are all screenshots of our working prototype, which we will begin to roll out to potential buyers and sellers during our MVP testing. So, after creating an account, a buyer or a Spotted user is greeted with this homepage, boasting our simplistic UI. The search bar located at the top allows a buyer to quickly look for a spot by entering a city, airport, address, or zip code. The bottom toolbar has a spots button, messages button, post button, and profile button. As well as right here, we feature our UVPs for first-time users, but as you begin to use spots, quick access spots will be available where you can quickly rebook a spot. So, this is an example of a spot seeker's experience. This buyer is looking for a spot near the Ritz-Carlton from December 3rd through December 4th. So here you can see, this page, a buyer can scroll through listings which feature the type of spot, the price, as well as the distance. They can save a spot for later or book and pay right now within the app. So this is a seller's experience after clicking on the host button. Here's just an informational page where we talk to the sellers and explain what their UVPs are, and we have a call to action, ready, set, list. So this page is after where we take them, after the list your spot button, where they explain information about their spot. So they enter their address, the type of spot, how many spots, and any additional information, such as electric charging, on-site staff, and disabled access, so we can ensure that we provide the easier and hassle-free experience that we promise. So, why else, you may be wondering? So, for buyers, we're convenient. Serve a massive network of sellers right at your fingertips and book and pay within the app. With our network, you will be able to choose through endless options to find the seller that is right for you. And lastly, worry-free. With the market created by our app, you will get the best value for your price, allowing your experience to be simple and worry-free. Now for sellers, you're in control. For sellers, you can set guidelines such as price, location, and timing, and make sure that when you're selling your spot, it's right for you. It's based off of your preferences. And reach more customers. In comparison to other mediums such as Facebook and Craigslist, our network will let you have a larger customer base. And lastly, your parking spot is an asset. Start monetizing it. And after all, who wouldn't mind some extra income? Start earning a passive income.
From our problem interviews, we deduced that our most effective customer base would be those located in urban areas, as we believe this would truly allow us to impact the parking industry in these areas by providing our customers with an effective, easy parking experience. Our main competitors are Spot Hero. Spot Hero is an app-based parking service. However, they do not provide a peer-to-peer network. They do have individual sellers on the app. However, these individual sellers don't sell their spot themselves. Spot Hero buys the spots for a flat monthly rate, sell it for however much they want, and also book the spot without the seller's discretion. There are also 2 companies based in San Diego. However, they have not amassed a large following and haven't received a Series A, but they still are trying to implement our same strategy. Our pricing model would be a flat 6% transaction fee on both buyers and sellers. However, this fee can be waived for $8.99 a month, which is also called the Spot Pass. We also have a 15% cancellation fee to ensure the sellers, this would be within if somebody canceled within 48 hours. And lastly, there's a headlining fee, which would be 15 to 25% based on the seller rating and like the price of the spot. But this is kind of like sponsored posts where your post would come up higher on the feed if you pay this headlining fee. 33 out of 36 potential buyers said that they would love our app because provides an easy parking experience without gouging them for money. And 27 out of 28 potential buyers said that they would love to use our app because it's much easier than Craigslist and they have a higher chance of making money. So overall, 93% of our interviewees deemed this a viable solution.
So according to the National Parking Association, the total addressable market is about $35 billion, and in the greater Chicagoland area, the parking industry is actually, the revenue is about $1.1 billion, and about 33% of that was online, so the serviceable addressable market would be about $363 billion, which means that if we're able to create our own little space within the market, we're looking towards a profitable future. And the parking industry over time, so in 2011, the parking industry was worth about $7.65 billion, and it is projected to grow to 30% each year, and by 2023, it's going to be worth about $11.11 billion. And how will we test our business model? Our MVP is composed of 3 different parts: a landing page for both buyers and sellers, and a local mock business. So our landing page will have 2 different buttons where you can either become a host, which is to sell your parking spot, and join a waitlist, which is for buyers. And with this, we'll have a survey where you'll put your name, phone number, email, and the location of the spot you want to buy or spot you want to sell. This will allow us to see where many of our customers are located and see qualitative data on how many buyers and sellers we actually have. And also how will people get to our landing page? We plan to have an informational video, social media promotions, and informational flyers. So our video is very simple in concept. It's just an explanation of what our app is, a quick demo of what it will look like, and a call to action prompting them to go to our landing page. And as for our social media promotions, we actually have a Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram all running. And actually, we decided to focus more on Instagram due to the fact that we are showing larger engagements. In fact, we actually reached about 496 people in the past 6 days and gained about 129 followers.
So our other MVP will test our solution, unique value propositions, and pricing. We plan to test our business locally by setting up calls and meetings with Central Barrington homeowners. In these meetings, we will be asking them if they're willing to let us set them up with spot seekers fit for them based on their preferences, similar to what we would do on our app. This will test our solution and features and to see if it's viable and practical in a real-life situation, as well as our pricing to see if it's too high and we need to lower it, or if it's too low and we potentially raise it. So how will we bring people to this mock business? We plan on setting up flyers across Barrington and other local suburbs. The flyers would consist of our social media and our contact information, such as email and phone number, to set up meetings with us, and it will ultimately lead to more MVP testing and revenue. So what is this all going to cost? We're asking for $910, 216 of which would cover a professional website that can track quantitative data such as engagement on the site and length of the visit. In addition, $20 would cover a domain that would allow us to have a simple, concise, and professional URL to represent our company. We also plan on spending $300 on social media promotion, specifically Instagram. From previously running ads on Instagram, we found that we get 62.5 views per dollar, so we deduced that in spending $300, we could achieve 18,750 views. We also plan on doing a survey incentive of $100. We plan on doing surveys on social media as well as through an email blast. These would allow, through these would allow us to get more feedback and encourage more analysis in the future. We would incentivize these surveys with $25 Amazon gift cards giveaway, as well as a higher seller rating and parking credits. And the video that we're planning on doing will cost $199 for the stock images and clips, and $75 would be the cost of the flyers that we're going to put across Barrington. So what is the implementation for all of this? December is when we would start doing more of the sponsored posts on Instagram. January, we'd finally get our website up and running to get the landing page. February is when we start producing our video, up until March when we post it and put out all the survey incentives along with it. April is when we start putting out more flyers in Barrington when it gets warmer and closer to summer when there's a lot more people signing their spots for our mock business, all until Pitch Night in May. So in conclusion, Spot It maximizes vacant parking spots by creating a larger peer-to-peer network of spot owners and spot seekers, revolutionizing the parking industry one spot at a time.
I'm gonna ask a quick question before we get into like lots of details. So, really well described, like I was getting many components of this, and yes, there are parking apps out there. So I'm still not sure, for me as a user or even a seller, what is the number one like value that I want to use this? Because again, I got the whole Spot Hero resells, it does this, and I'm like, okay, well, why do I care? I just want a spot for a good price.
So the main value that we have is that we're a marketplace in comparison to selling specifically commercially owned spots. We have the option to sell residentially owned spots, and what happens is with this larger supply of spots that we're providing, we are able to increase the quantity and drive down the equilibrium price. So we're offering you the same spot at a better value price. So in
So it's
comparison,
a price game. It's really gonna be, I'm going to you because I'm probably gonna get a better price.
as well as convenience. So for example, parking lots, they're big, they need space in comparison to little like parking spots just by an apartment or like a driveway. Say if you're in the city, you're looking for a spot near the Aon Center. There are no parking lots near there. They're at least 5 blocks, 10 blocks down. But with our app, you'll be able to find a spot which is maybe a 2-minute walk, 3-minute walk from that building because we're able to provide those residentially owned spaces in comparison to having to rely on large parking spots with large parking lots which need those massive plots of land.
Okay. Got it.
Do you guys all drive?
I know.
Okay, so I'm sorry, who drives? Okay, I need you to do a little field work, okay? So you've got a break coming up, need you to take some trips and actually use different competitive parking apps. Because I totally applaud all the work that you've done, and really I'm amazed at the progress you've made in terms of app interfaces of what it should be like. This is great, but I'm sitting here having the same thoughts that Christy's got of, I already have that. So as a user, I mean, Spot Hero is literally my hero. So it sounds like how the challenge is going to be is how are you distinctive versus Spot Hero? And maybe it's not me, the end user, that you're after. Maybe it is the sellers or the private residences that maybe don't have access to Spot Hero. I don't know, because it's not something that
Well, I'm hearing it's cheap, you're saying cheaper and closer. I mean, cheaper and closer is the kind of the value proposition on the user side that you're going with or you're gonna be testing.
But I echo those comments, because yesterday I used Spot Hero for 2 separate spots, in which I was literally measured in feet from my location. So check that out, do some kind of field testing.
Like, is that really your value proposition?
Right.
So that's what Margaret was challenging you with, is like, hey, use those to see, hey, are you delivering above and beyond on that value so that I'm gonna want to use your app versus someone
And I'm
else's.
not saying that there isn't a point of distinction for you all. Because as Carlos had mentioned earlier, when there are other competitors in that same space, the whole need for that service is already validated. So, awesome. But then what's your niche? What's your point of distinction? Or what's your better mousetrap?
Maybe what I would argue when you're doing this research is that your niche is more on, I'm thinking like summertime festivals in, the different villages, right? Those people are the ones that could be renting out their spots because there's no lots or what have you. So maybe it's a different niche when you're thinking about your market research.
One of you mentioned, I think it was you, Rowan, that your market was urban areas. Is that right?
Yeah.
Or should, your MVP money, where is it being spent? I mean, aside from just
Sounded like
marketing,
Barrington.
it sounded like Barrington.
Barrington, I think that's the question.
Yeah,
So in Barrington, lots of the locals rent out their driveways to students to park at the schools, so
Okay.
we figured if we did the mock business closer to the summer, we could help out a lot of those people with finding better spots.
So you can test our solution, and then we can deem market risk that if our solution will actually, if we implement it, we'll be able to scale to urban areas as well as these local areas. So like, we're trying to implement the same thing that, okay, you have a spot, you want to sell it to a student's looking for a spot at a better price than about $1,500 at Sweet Spot, which is still a walk to the school. Can we get this to work in this local area, which then we'll know if the need is here, a larger urban area will also most likely need it. So can we kind of scale it from, we want to first test the market risk in a smaller population and then move closer to the city.
There's a disconnect for me there but by saying that you see a success in the school and then therefore it will translate into the urban need. Like if you told me it was an urban school, I might be able to get behind it, but I feel there's a disconnect in kind of how you're jumping. So maybe rethink who you're marketing to. If you see this success in the Barrington, is there another school district? Is there another,
Does that make sense, Jill, when she says that? Because starting small is a great way to prove out a concept, no doubt. Like, start small before you go big, right? But she's saying, hey, make sure the market is the right analog or the right similar characteristics that you would then be scaling to. Otherwise, as an investor, you're going to say, yeah, you worked in Barrington, but that doesn't mean you're going to work in downtown Chicago, to me,
Would,
necessarily.
would another way to explore that scaling is rather than jumping right away to an urban setting, which frankly has got some options already. I love the angle that you took of, parents of students with cars are looking for parking options because Barrington parking lot at the high school is not sufficient. So if you can prove that out at Barrington, or maybe your testing site includes the Barrington residential area right around the high school, can you also test this at Front? Can you also test this at Dundee Crown? Do you see what I mean? Where there are potentially similar dynamics, and can you test this out again? Because Spot Hero's not there marketing to parents and to students and the residents. I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's two different markets. I mean, when you start off your pitch, I lived in Chicago for 23 years. And so, I remember going to certain neighborhoods and I had friends who would drive around the block for 45 minutes looking for a parking
I think the
space.
change was Parkwell.
Right, so, now I don't know, that was before Spot Hero came into play. I use Spot Hero when I go down to the Loop and go downtown. But I don't know if it's really available for, those spaces if you're up on the north side or the west side or even the south side, where you're not gonna have these big garages. So conceptually, I think the idea of giving it to that homeowner who wants to put out their space is, I feel like there's something there. I think about when you walk by the Cubs and you see the people in the alley with the sign, right? Saying you can park in my garage, Cub fan. So I think it's a sharp idea. I guess my question is, I don't know if the need is as great given the competition. And I don't know that, testing in Barrington is going to improve that urban concept. That's, I guess I'm kind of echoing Chris's thoughts about that. So I think maybe kind of trying to figure out where those urban spots
So we
are.
go to the MVP budget.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of what's the biggest thing we want you to be testing
Right.
in the short term, and then what dollars do you need to do that, and what's the best way to test it?
What, you tell us, what is your main goal in this test?
Well, so our first thing, our first priority is to accumulate sellers. Without sellers, we're not going to be able to provide this
1
convenient,
minute.
better value for price concept.
Okay,
So-
so you're asking for customers out of this?
Yes,
Yeah.
we're so with the landing page, it's we're taking surveys, seeing how many people are there, so we're trying to quantify
Yeah.
who's interested.
Okay. by the way, I liked that idea, which was like, reserve your spot or whatever it was. I do think that's a very interesting way to gauge, you're asking for action right away, that whole thing.
I wonder if you could flip that, rather than testing the urban market, if you could flip that to neighborhoods around high schools that don't have, and no high school's got enough parking for the students that want to do that. So I wonder if you can identify 5 area high schools in the northwest suburbs, because parking spots are not free there, to at least the students, and maybe test it out from that perspective. You don't necessarily have to have spots to sell yet. You can follow through on your interest survey, and then that serves as a gauge for the demand. And then you can go to the homes within a 2-block or reasonable walking distance of the high school and say, there are, 500 families looking for parking spots, willing to pay $1,000 a year. Will you rent your blah blah?
Yeah, that
Any
was,
other, any riffs on that, or bad idea, or?
Maybe it's more basic than that. Maybe you can just go around homeowners and create this hypothetical situation where, like, hey, you're off on spring break. How comfortable would you be with a contractor using your driveway while they're working on a house down the
There you
street,
go.
so they're not parking on the street? You know,
What
I mean,
are
yeah,
our
just
sensitive to
information.
that?
10 seconds.
Okay, well, you will not need 9, 10, I think, for doing, I think getting the information that you need. Here's my thoughts on fees. I think you're probably gonna need money for flyers because we're asking you to go local and like to either get house to house, right?
Yeah.
You're not gonna need a survey incentive, by the way.
No.
Do a
Or
lot of
social
marketing research,
promotions.
yeah, and I
Or-
think social promotions, you probably don't need. Landing page, yes, you guys need to create a website. Can you do it for less than $216? You said you wanted to hire someone to do it.
No, it was
No,
more like the
it's- yeah.
website gives you like the length of visit, where they are, like
Oh,
you can
yeah.
track cookies,
Yeah.
like, and it's not like Wix or anything, where like it's just
Yeah.
like a format, it's like we actually make it, and it's like
10
qualitative.
more
Yeah.
seconds.
Google Analytics, I think, is free though, and you can get a lot of that from
well,
Google
it's funny if you
Analytics.
have the G Suite, which is about $200 a month.
Oh, okay.
So,
No, not with our Google Cloud for Startups, so we'll talk about that. You
Yeah,
might-
so
you
I
might maybe use
for
this.
that,
'Cause we-
Give me 10 more seconds.
Well, I'm thinking if they don't need the incentive, they
Right.
don't
No.
need a video,
You don't need the video.
you don't need social promotions. And you can do everything else.
Free.
So
You're around 300.
300.
But I do encourage you, though, to do some field trips. Get in the cars with your parents' permission, all that kind of stuff, and use the competitive products.
You got a number?
Yeah, 300.
Maybe
300.
350, and then you can buy some spots on
350.
another app.
Yeah.
350.
No, that's a
Thank you,
good-
guys.
Right?
Um,